Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Saturday, March the 30th, 2019, 5:19 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So I made that methane data a separate video. They don't have any more new methane data up today, so the latest data is from Tuesday, which I've already reported on. So I'm going to go over some climate news, and then we're going to go over earthquakes. So it'll be a little bit shorter broadcast tonight, and hope everyone's doing well on this weekend. The weather is definitely changing. It was 56 here in Reno today as the high, and tomorrow it's going to be 66 for the high. And then we've got some more rain coming in after that. So, you know, it's whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen. So the first article I have pulled up is from thebigwobble.org. This is from yesterday, Friday, March 29th. And this is about, this is called Latest Study Shows an Increase in Levels of Fukushima-Related Contamination in Alaskan Waters as Tokyo reassure the world all is well with 2020 Olympics. And there are a lot of other articles out about this, but this is the one I chose to share tonight. So there's a picture of two guys who just caught their salmon. The latest study shows an increase in levels of Fukushima-related contamination off the shores of Alaska. Regular readers of the Big Wobble will know Bill Laughing Bear has been keeping an eye on fish in Alaskan waters and has warned us all of rising radioactive contamination for years. Recently, other warnings have been published as the slow drip, drip, drip of information is slowly increasing. In 2017, a study by the University of Hawaii at Manoa revealed almost 50% of fish consumed on the islands of Hawaii were contaminated with cesium-134, the radioactive fingerprint of Fukushima. Well, why wouldn't the oceans be contaminated? I mean, seriously, that's a no-brainer. And they're acting like they just found out? Are you kidding me? These people drive me crazy. You know, and all of a sudden they had to do this big study and all this stuff. I could have told them that. The report also showed that migrating organisms can transport the Fukushima signature, or cesium-134, over significant distances, as they showed detectable 134Cs, or 6.3 plus or minus 1.5 becquerel per kilogram in Pacific bluefin tuna caught off California coast only a year after the incident. Oh, and by the way, the radiation bioaccumulates, meaning it doesn't go away. If a fish is contaminated and then another fish eats that fish, it gets it. And then the more it's exposed, the more you're exposed, the more toxic you are. It stays in the system. It bioaccumulates in the ground, in the plants, everywhere. So, like I said in my recent, I don't remember when it was, a couple of days ago, when I talked about Fukushima radiation, I presented a different article. This by itself is an extinction level event for all life on the planet. It's just going to take a while for everything to circulate correctly to high enough levels to kill everything off. But even if you didn't have the methane and nuclear war and whatever else, this by itself would end all life on the planet. And this is just one incident, and we have hundreds of potential Fukushimas waiting to happen everywhere around the globe, and especially with the flooding in the Midwest. And I mean, there are more nuclear power plants over there, not just the Cooper. So anyway, I get upset. The recent findings, as you might suspect, are being played down. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. And the unusual sound bites are telling us it's nothing to worry about. Something the powers that be have been saying for 8 years now. The latest study by Alaska Sea Grant agent Gay Sheffield claimed a slightly elevated level of radioactive contamination connected to the Fukushima nuclear disaster has been detected in the northern Bering Sea. Well, why does that not surprise me? The level of cesium-137, a radioactive isotope, is extremely low and not considered a health concern. According to state epidemiologists, well, what level is... I don't think any level is safe. Are you kidding me? Oh, it's not a concern. It's just a low level. A sampling conducted by residents of St. Lawrence Island documents the Fukushima plume's northern edge arriving in the Bering Sea for the first time and shows levels of cesium-137 higher than they were before the 2011 nuclear power plant accident in Japan. It wasn't just an accident, it was a frickin' disaster. The 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, perfect platform to reassure the world that all is well at the Fukushima site despite leaking radioactive isotopes for the next 300 years. They're not just leaking, they're gushing. It's gushing into the ocean. Leaking. So they're going to have the Olympics, the World Olympics, over there in Tokyo next year, and everybody will get contaminated, and it's a whole big thing. It's a whole big power play, and, you know, oh, radiation's good for you, and this and that. I can't read this. I'll leave the link below if you want to read it, but I can't read this. That already got my blood boiling. And I'd been having a perfectly nice day. So, there you go. The next news item from EcoWatch. It's official. Climate change worsens global pollen season. You think? I guess it does. This is from March 26th. A new paper, oh yes, a new paper just out in the Lancet Planetary Health. Actually, I subscribe to them. They put out some interesting information. You can, if you want to know what's going on all around the world with epidemics and studies and stuff, you subscribe to Lancet Planetary Health and you'll get it in your email inbox immediately. Provides the first global indication that recent temperature increases propelled by climate change are in fact contributing significantly to longer and more intense pollen seasons. Why is this important? Longer allergenic pollen production seasons and increased pollen intensity could have public health significance if allergy symptoms last longer, require more treatment, or boost numbers of sensitized individuals. This multi-continent investigation highlights important links between ongoing warming and health effects that could worsen as temperatures continue to rise. You know, add into the mix bad ozone too, and nitrogen dioxide, and noxious gases. Add into and sulfur dioxide. Let's just add all that crap in too. An international research team assembled hard-to-find global data sets that recorded health-relevant pollen data such as pollen season length and pollen production intensity. 17 locations across 12 countries had long-term measurement records, about 26 years on average, of seasonal pollen concentrations from multiple plant species. These long-term pollen records were analyzed in the context of recent changes in maximum and minimum temperatures associated with human-caused climate change. The results indicate that 14 of the 17 locations showed increases in seasonal cumulative pollen or pollen load in recent decades. Similarly, 13 of the 17 locations indicated an increase in season length over time, on average approximately 0.9 days per year longer. Annual cumulative increases in temperature over time were significantly associated with percent increases in seasonal pollen length and intensity across global locations. Researchers have already recognized that ongoing climate change can alter allergenic pollen biology in several ways. Warmer temperatures fueled by climate change can mean longer pollen seasons, more pollen produced, and more intensely allergenic pollen. Yeah, because it's only weeds that are growing. The good stuff doesn't grow, it's only weeds, and that's the stuff I'm really allergic to, like ragweed and stuff like that. Yet no single tracking system exists, they'll get one, to monitor global airborne pollen levels and assess how concentrations may have changed over time in response to rising temperatures, and so on. I'm not going to go on that. So that's the idea. So if you wonder why your allergies are worse, it's because we have more pollen now. Just in case you wondered. An estimated 10 to 30% of the global population is affected by seasonal pollen allergies. It's a matter of health. And this, if you can have asthma, it can affect your health in many ways. Lost days of school and work as eyes water, noses run, and throats itch. Unfortunately, the tens of millions of people with asthma pollen exposure can also trigger an asthma attack. Well, how about trigger, you can't talk, and asthma attack, all kinds of stuff. And it says climate disruptions and increased carbon dioxide concentrations could alter the allergenicity or allergen concentration of the pollen as well as symptom severities. So that's just what I said. You mix in all the toxic soup that we've got up in the atmosphere that we see on cams along with the pollen, and it's not feasible to be here anymore. It's just not right. And it's because everything is dying. We're living on a dying planet. Mother Earth is done. Here's the next one. Mashable.com. Temperatures in Alaska are topping records. Now this is big news, okay? I'm going to do this. And I've been saving this 2-meter temperature anomaly from Climate Reanalyzer. Hang on, let me get it and I'll show you. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. I've got it ready to show you when we get there. Temperatures in the Arctic on March 25th, 2018. Well, how about now? I'm going to show you right now. Right now, it's more than 10 degrees above. 2018 were 10 degrees Fahrenheit above average. So let's look at 2019. How about it? Maybe that was a typo. I mean, a lot of people are talking about this. I'm thinking that was a typo. March 25th. I got March 25th. Actually, I've got all of this year right here. Here's what it was on January the 1st. Look at it. Look at this. Alaska and Canada and Siberia. That's 2-meter temperature anomaly from Climate Reanalyzer. And the red is 20 degrees Celsius higher than normal. Alright? And so it's a lot more than that Fahrenheit. Here it is on the 2nd. Here's the 3rd. Look at Greenland. You know, in one article, I don't know if I'm sharing this article or not, about they're saying some glacier on Greenland is coming back. Well, you know, good luck with that. It's only because it got cold up there. Look at it here in January. That's when everything was melting up there. You know, none of the weather is the way it's supposed to be. See, here on January the 6th, it got cold again. But then it gets hot again on the 8th. And then, remember all this? I'm glad I'm saving these. I can just pull these up. Remember when we had that really cold Arctic low pushed down and we had all that cold weather in the United States? Here it is moving in. We had a couple of those. More than one. There was the bad one back in early February. And look how warm it was ahead of that. You remember all that? Yep. See, we can do our own movie here and see how much warmer everything is than normal. And see, here's Greenland on February 25th. It looks like a chili pepper. Look at this. Look at the Arctic here on February 28th. Yeah, we're in March. And it stayed hot up there. It just, briefly, it cycles around, but then it goes back to being red up there. I mean, it's not hot like 100 degrees, but I'm talking about hot in relation to what it would have normally been. But nothing's normal anymore. We have to remember that nothing is normal. So we're looking for March. Here's March 25th, 2019. Alright? So it was all red up there. So from the article, is that the same picture? Let's see. It looks like the shape is the same, but the colors are kind of washed out in this article. Oh yeah, that's the same picture and everything. They put the wrong date in the article. You see that? It's the same picture. So that's a typo. They meant 2019. Alright. It's usually warm in the last frontier. It's unusually warm in the last frontier. Yes, it is. And this is why the sea ice is going to melt really fast. Large swaths of Alaska have been seen record or near record warmth this March, said Rick Toman, a climate specialist at the Alaska Center for Climate Assessment and Policy, and the trend isn't quitting. Well above average temperatures are expected to continue this week. Daily temperature records have broken around the state and toppled all-time March records in the greater Arctic region. Last week, Alaska saw its earliest ever 70-degree Fahrenheit temperature. This exceptional warmth has been stoked by a mix of weather events and a rapidly warming climate. And a lot of earthquakes, by the way. How about them apples? The magnitude and persistence of the warmth is particularly striking to me this winter in parts of Alaska. Zach Laib, a climate scientist and PhD candidate at the University of California at Irvine, said over email. And I've presented his work. He's very good. On the weather side of things, there's a dominant mass of high pressure in the atmosphere, known as an upper-level ridge, that has kept a region of warm air stuck around that ridge, which has warmed southeast Alaska and the Yukon. Yeah, we just looked at all that. But the transient weather isn't acting alone. While this type of weather pattern favors warmer temperatures in Alaska, the region is also undergoing rising temperatures due to Arctic climate change. Yes. Rising temperatures due to Arctic climate change. Yes, this is happening. The rapid warming of the Arctic has reduced the extent of sea ice and increased ocean temperatures, which can further contribute to the warming trend. Yes, it's warming so rapidly in the Arctic, added Toman, noting that the recent warming spate in even more frigid North Alaska is partially due to less sea ice. Well, I've shown you that too. When it's there, sea ice both cools the region and also reflects sunlight. Without ice, the open ocean is dark and absorbent, soaking up even more heat. Blah, blah, blah. We know all about that because you guys have been following me and you're the smartest people out there on abrupt climate change. Yes, a vicious feedback cycle. Hey, it's called a self-reinforcing feedback loop all over the Arctic. In interior Alaska, where Toman lives, the unusually warm temperatures are making for a noticeably disappointing March. That's because March, when daylight is finally increasing, but temperatures are usually cold enough to preserve quality snow and ice, is when Alaskans can get outside and embrace the joys of winter. That's the time to get out. Well, they're going to have to learn how to tiptoe around the melting permafrost and how to go golfing without lighting up a methane bomb when they're teeing off. But not in interior Fairbanks this March, where temperatures have hit 50 degrees or higher for 4 days in a row. It's melting, the snow is crappy. In a large part of urban Alaska, people talk about how they've been robbed of March. Their enduring warming trend will likely bring more profound warmth, melting, and changes to Alaskan sea ice and snowmelt in the coming months. We're going to have more stories to talk about, said Toman. Yes, they will. And all their infrastructure is going to be falling apart because it's all built on permafrost. Yes, it is. So, if you want to see... So that's where it was on the 25th. And that's very red on my computer. And it's all washed out in that article. I wouldn't have even known it was this year because it was all washed out. Here it was the next day on the 26th. And look up here in Siberia. Here's the 27th. Here's the 28th. It's just hanging around. Here's the 29th. And here it is today where the big red blobs merge. Just one big red blob all the way over from Siberia, all the way over the Arctic Ocean, all the way into Canada and Alaska there. Yep, the red blobs meet. So there you have it. I'm in fine form today. And one more story. This is from BBC News from March the 28th. Climate change, global impacts accelerating. WMO. That's from the World Meteorological Organization. They say that the physical and financial aspects of global warming are accelerating. But we knew that. We know everything they have to say in here. So this is just them confirming everything we already know. Record greenhouse gas levels are driving temperatures to increasingly dangerous levels, it says. The report comes in the same week as the International Energy Agency, or IEA, reported a surge in CO2 in 2018. Yeah. However, new data from the UK suggests Britain is bucking the trend with emissions down by 3%. Well, that's okay. China's making up for that. This year's State of the Climate report from the WMO is the 25th annual record of the climate. When it first came out in 1993, carbon dioxide levels were at 357 parts per million in the atmosphere. These have now risen to 405.5 parts per million and are expected to increase further. Well, hey, it's like what, last I saw it was like 414 or something. So they're a little bit low on that number. This is having a significant impact on temperatures. With 2018 the fourth warmest year on record, almost 1°C above what they were in the period between 1850 to 1900. Oh, we're above that. I showed you that article from Sam Carana. The years between 2015 and 18 were the four warmest on record. The report makes it very clear that the impacts of climate change are accelerating. We know that if the current trajectory for greenhouse gas concentrations continues, temperatures may increase by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels by the end of the century, and we've already reached 1 degree. Oh, you know, this is such BS. This is a soft disclosure. They're getting people used to the idea that it's going to be so hot we can't live here. Climate impacts, etc. Okay, floods is a big one. Natural hazards. 62 million people in 2018 were associated with extreme weather and climate events. Well, we've already had a whole bunch this year. Some 35 million people were hit by floods. Hurricane Florence and Michael were just 2 of 14 billion-dollar disasters. See, it's all about numbers, you know, not, anyway, dollars, not how they're killing the planet. Super Typhoon Mangkhut affected 2.4 million people and killed 134 in the Philippines. More than 1,600 deaths were linked to heat waves and wildfires in Europe, Japan, and U.S. Kerala in India suffered the heaviest rainfall and worst flooding in nearly a century. Extreme weather is continued in the early 2019, most recently with Tropical Cyclone Idai, which I reported on, caused devastating floods, tragic loss of life in Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. All of you know about that if you've been watching me, because I followed that from the very beginning. I did. I was reporting on that. So, The IEA published worrying data indicating that in 2018 carbon emissions were up 1.7% as a result of the fastest growth in energy use in the last 6 years. So, you know, the problem is there are more and more people on the planet all the time. They're not encouraging people to not make more babies. Okay? That's one of the problems. And with that, more people need more energy, and even if you cut back or you make it more energy efficient, then people are going to use more because you have more people and you have more gadgets and you have more this and more that, and it doesn't matter. It's a losing battle. It's a losing battle. So anyway, then they say their propaganda at the end. So those are my news reports for today. Oh, and now gonna shut that down. Gonna shut that down. Gonna close that. I have these up in case we need them. Now, before we go to earthquakes, I had a couple of good comments under my video from yesterday regarding the other event, earthquake thing off the coast of Hawaii. Remember that from my video yesterday? Let me get a drink here. Couple of my subscribers or viewers actually knew about these, and so they left the information below, and we appreciate it very much. Rosemary Hill says, Margo, there were 5 of those other events on Wednesday 3/27. I freaked out, emailed USGS Hawaii asking what wasn't a blast, explosion, or earthquake. While awaiting response, I received a notification from Ben Farilo's, I don't know how to say his name, Farilo's YouTube, explaining the other event seismology data. Bottom line, Hawaii volcano, deep long period, high frequency events. A response letter to Ben from HVO/USGS is at 11 minutes and 15 seconds. So here's the link to the YouTube video, and I watched it, and I appreciate that, Rosemary. Thank you for bringing that to our plate here, and that somebody else has already gone out there and done the research. So they're saying he thinks it's a volcano, undersea volcano, that there's actually a ridge there, and that there's probably an event going on. And I can't remember what I said, whether I thought it might have been a volcano or not, but that makes sense, because that whole Hawaii area is very I mean, the whole island is volcanic, and so it makes sense that the volcanoes would extend to under the water, and they would be active and things would be happening, and they could have an event like a slide or an explosion of some kind, and it could cause earthquakes. You know, it could cause the tectonic plates to move as a result of that. And then the Jones left a comment about this. I'm not going to read the whole article, the whole comment, but he says that Hawaii other event could have been an underwater slide. I saw a documentary on that coastline where all the lava builds up, creating unstable cliffs that occasionally collapses, creating underwater slides. I thought it was farther north than that event, but you know, what do I know? Nothing. piece. So thank you, the Jones. And when we click on this, this is Wikipedia, and this is about the Helena slump on the south flank of the Kilauea volcano. So I don't know if that's, you know, it could be, they're probably all connected. So this is here. So what we saw was more down here, I think. But it could be all connected, and whatever has happened in the past up here could happen down here too. So we'll just read a little of this. The Helena slump on the south flank of the Kilauea volcano on the southeast coast of the Big Island of Hawaii is the most notable of several landslides that ring each of the Hawaiian islands. These landslides are the means by which material deposited at a volcano's vents are transferred downward and seaward, eventually spilling onto the seabed to broaden the island. So it's building the island, basically. Kilauea's entire south flank, extending out to Cape Kumukahi, is currently sliding seaward, with some parts of the central portion overlooking the Helena slump moving as much as 10 centimeters or 4 inches per year, pushed by the forceful injection of magma and pulled by gravity. Current movement of the Helena slump and recent volcanic activity, coupled with evidence of massive submarine slides in the geological past, has led to sensationalistic claims of mega tsunamis that might result if the south flank of Kilauea should suddenly fail. Geologists are confident no such failure is likely, and other experts have stated that the supposed threats of mega tsunamis are exaggerated. Well, that's what they say. We're in no man's land. We're in no man's land. So that's the slump, the Helena slump. So we're looking more down here off the coast of Pahala. And they have landslides and mega tsunamis and all that stuff. So we'll just leave that in the comments there. So thank you, the Jones, for that research and that information. We really appreciate it, and it's probably all connected and all part of the same system. So now let's look at earthquakes. I have USGS pulled up for all magnitudes for the last 24 hours, and it's showing 270 earthquakes worldwide, so it's going down in number. At least it's under 300 today. Of course, it is a Saturday, and the earthquake makers are supposed to be at home today. Of those, we have 45 that are registering 2.5 magnitude and higher. So we see a lot of circles around, and a big circle here. So let's see what's the oldest that we might need to cover first. Here's some at Pahala. 611. So let's start with Hawaii, since we were just talking about that. Going to all magnitudes. Well, we can see it's really clustering down here. Okay, I'm trying to get them all on the map here, including this one at the northern tip. We've got 20 here today, and this one at the northern tip was a 3.5 near Kapau, Hawaii. There's a volcano up there at 11:29 last night. So let's look at down here. Here's Kilauea. Here's the Helena Slip. So these are in a straight line going across for that Helena Slip. So we've got four for including Leilani Estates right here. So we've got a 2.3 here in the ocean. We've got a 2.1 at Leilani Estates, a 1.8 at Kilauea at 0.3 kilometers depth, and a 2.1 at Kilauea, or right here on the flank of Kilauea. It says volcano, southeast of volcano. That's on the flank of Kilauea. So we had four there. So the majority of them are down here. We've got 15. So let's see if we have any other events here. Maybe they decided not to list them as other events since people were emailing them and getting upset. They don't want to upset anyone. I'm going to call them off. 2.5, 2.0, 2.6, 2.3, 2.2, 2.4, 2.9, 2.3, 2.6, 2.5, 2.3, 2.2, 1.8, 1.8, and 2.7 is the most recent one at 5:04 this afternoon, 30 kilometers deep. So a lot of movement here, and it could have caused a slide. And these are pretty good sized earthquakes, you know, up to the high 2s. So we shouldn't just dismiss Hawaii just because it's not totally blowing up. So now let's go down to Tonga or Fiji. We have a 4.7 near Nidoi Island, Fiji at 12:09 this morning. This is one of the deepest I've seen ever, 613 kilometers deep. They tend to have a lot of deep ones here, and when you have the deep ones, it causes the tectonic plates to move or shift around the planet. Next, we have 5.0 near Alki, Solomon Islands at 10:02 last night, 53 kilometers deep. We just had a 5.4 near Gizo, Solomon Islands at 5:09 this afternoon. Here's another one, a 4.7 near Chiroyanga, Solomon Islands at 6:52 last night. Here's one on land. This is the big one. This is the big circle that we saw on land. It was a 6.1 near Kimbe, Papua New Guinea at 4:20 this morning, 57 kilometers deep. So this is definitely big enough to do damage if it was in a populated area. I already looked at the wave. There was no tsunami created from that. Moving up into the Philippines, we have one off the coast, a 4.6 near Wawa, Philippines at 7:02 this morning, 182 kilometers deep. Moving on up into Japan, here's one in between these two islands, a 4.0 near Mutsu, Japan at 4:20 this afternoon, so just north of the main island. Then off the coast of Kamchatka, Russia, was a 4.4 at 12:43 this morning, this afternoon, 12:43 this afternoon, Pacific time. These are all Pacific time. 35 kilometers deep. Now we've got one in Afghanistan, a 4.4 near Ashkasham at 11:40 this morning, 187 kilometers deep. Next, in Iran, was a 4.5 near Borazjan, Iran at 3:44 this afternoon. Moving on around, here was one at Greece. It looks like that's as close as I can get. It looks like it's right on the coast. 5.2 near Iltia, Greece at 3:46 this morning. Coming on around, on land, there was a 4.4 near Solin, Croatia at 7:08 last night. And then moving on down into South America, there were two. There was a 4.6 near San Antonio de los Cobras, Argentina at 11:41 last night, 184 kilometers deep, and a 4.5 near Antofagasta, Chile at 11:33 this morning, 47 kilometers deep. Mexico is clear. Let's look at Dominican Republic. We've got all magnitudes pulled up here still. We're showing 13. Here's a cluster on the northeast side of Puerto Rico. So the largest one, it looks like, is this 3.2 on land near Salvaleon de Huegui, Dominican Republic at 7:20 this morning, 148 kilometers deep. So they've had 13 in the area, but that's the biggest one. Here's 2.7 up here. So the rest are, definitely ones and twos. So not big enough to do any damage, but it's showing movement. Now coming on up into the Alaska area. So getting the Aleutian Islands on the map as well. Okay, nothing on the north. We've got 119 here of all magnitudes. So let's start with this one at 4.2 near Attu Station, Alaska at 2:05 this morning, and a 3.5 near Akutan, Alaska at 3:06 this morning, so just a minute apart, and 3.2 near Kodiak at 4:30 this morning. So let's go up to Kobuk and see what they've got going on today. We've got 30 here today. Still very shallow. A lot of them 0 or close to the surface, 0 kilometers depth. Here's the 2.6, 2.8. What's this bigger one? That's a 3.3. This one happened at 8:06 last night. So let's see what the largest ones in Alaska are. Kobuk has 8 that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. And they had they were in the a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 3s range. So high 2s and low 3s. 3.3 was the highest, all in that area again. So the number's going down. The number of earthquakes are going down there, but they're moving on down in a line here. And so these are pretty small. Let's see what else was 2.5 magnitude or higher. Here's a 2.7 at Cantwell, 3.0 Middleton Island, 3.2 Seaward. And then we're still seeing this clustering in Anchorage. But not that many. There's only 22 right there. So they're just peppered around. 2.0. So a lot of 2s, 1s. Looks like the magnitude is going down. Mostly 1s and some 2s rather than mainly 2s. So the magnitude is decreasing, it looks like, overall. So maybe Alaska's calming down for a little bit. Now coming down into the lower 48. Not seeing anything east of Utah, or including Utah. It's eerily quiet again today. Eerily quiet. Look, nothing in Yellowstone, nothing in Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Seattle is showing 1. Well, it's to the west at Manchester, 1.7 at 7:03 last night. I want to pull up the tremor map. Hold on, let me get it. Okay. I always like to look at the tremors, especially when you don't see any earthquakes being reported. Hourly tremor map. Let's look in the last 24 hours. Look at that. So they were having, this is showing, this is pre-earthquakes. This is movement where the earth is shaking. So we've got even some up here near Vancouver. We've got a bunch up here between Seattle and Portland. And then a bunch down here to the northwest of Redding, which we've seen. And so it's moving, and you know, they might not report everything. We don't know. We don't know. I mean, we're lied to about so many things, and we do the best we can with the tools that we have. We do the best on reporting with the tools that we have at our disposal as citizen scientists and citizen researchers. And sometimes that's not a whole lot, but we do the best we can, so we have to extrapolate and read between the dots a lot. Okay, here's a 3.0 on this Juan de Fuca plate at 8:44 last night out in the ocean. Coming on across, we've got one to the southeast of Chico, California, Now this is getting kind of close to Oroville. Remember about the dam? It's right there. So this was a 2.7 that happened near Durham, California at 5:36 this morning, 20 kilometers deep. So in between Chico and Oroville, and it's not that far from Oroville. It's not very far. Coming on across, we've got one at Truckee, or near Truckee, California at 8:35 this morning. We've got okay, the one at Truckee was a 1.0. This one near Sunnyside, Tahoe City was a 1.2 at 7:15 this morning. Nothing in northern Nevada. Look how quiet this is. It's kind of spooky. You just wonder what's building. I mean, I'd rather see something rather than nothing. Seriously. Here's a few little ones down in the Hawthorne Lake area. They're tiny. 0.3, 0.8. Just tiny. And then in southern Nevada, we've got some just peppered around. Here's a larger one. This is a 2.1 near Goldfield at 3:34 this afternoon. Here's a larger one. 1.4 near Alamo. And 1.0 near Pioche, or however you say it. Now let's look at this east side of California next. Here we are showing two at Mammoth Lakes, a 0.9 and a 1.2, and they're both shallow. 0.6 kilometers depth and 0.8 kilometers depth. And then moving on down, here's one, a 1.1 near Lone Pine. Well, here's Big Pine. Oh, up here, 0.1. Here's a 0.7 and a 0.9. So, see, the numbers are reduced dramatically. Minus 0.2 across from Beatty. 1.1 Coso Junction. Look how quiet it is. Everything is just quieted down. Maybe that's why I feel so much calmer on the weekend. 1.7 Ludlow at 4:26 this morning. Here's one in the ocean, a 2.0 near Lompoc at 12:46 this morning, 1 kilometers depth. Here's a 2.5 near Big Bear City at 3:39 this afternoon. Here's one across the border in Baja, a 2.0 near Puebla. So looking in Southern California, we're seeing 44 on the map here today. Look at this. It looks like a cluster. Look at all those right in the middle of the Salton Sea. Look at those. There are 8 here. They're small. They're like 1.2 up to 1.6. The last one was registered at midnight, a little after midnight last night, 12:42 this morning. And they started at 11:29 last night. So in an hour, all of those happened. 8 right there. And the southern end of the Salton Sea. Look at this cluster. Lake Henshaw, we got four right there, little ones. Here's Kauai. What if they've got 12 here today? So clusters here and there, not very big. Now let's move on up along this San Andreas fault line. I already showed that. Here's one near the coast, a 1.6 Lopez Point. Here's a 1.4 Pinnacles. (1.8) Gilroy. We've got some activity down by San Jose, it looks like. Here's a 1.2 Seven Trees. 1.2 Alum Rock. 1.7 Alum Rock. And 1.4 Milpitas. Then here's 2.7 near Napa. That's getting on up there. That was at 2:55 this morning. And then at the geysers, we've got 22 here today. So that's gone down somewhat. Here was a okay, did we see that? Yeah, the 2.7 near Durham. We saw that. We saw Napa. We saw all those. So let's zoom out and see if anything else needs to be looked at. Here's a 5.4 Gizo Solomon Islands. I think we already looked at that at 5:09. Yeah, we already saw that. We've already seen all of these. So I think that's a wrap. So I'll go ahead and sign off for tonight. So I've been working on getting my new platform ready to roll out. I'm going to make an announcement on Monday about it. So there are going to be some changes coming to my platform, but you can still find me. So until next time, time is very short. Every day is shorter. So I recommend everyone get your spiritual house in order while you still have time. Did I show this one in the mid-Indian ridge of 5.9? I think I missed that. Right on the red line. That happened last night at 11:27. I think I was busy going up across the landmass, and I missed that one. So that's significant too. So signing off for now. God bless everyone. Until next time, go in peace and goodbye.